And we are back, ladies and gentlemen,
That was
exclusively. I don't know where we're going with that. We didn't rehearse it. We tried something new. It didn't work. We won't do it again. We're sorry. It is what it is. But at least you enjoyed Wordle. 3 guesses. That might be a record. I don't think we've ever had Wordle where chat has guessed it with just 3 guesses. So
hey, chat is very smart. I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm just waiting for the time where they get it in like 1 or 2 and we'll just like break the internet. I'm so down.
I'm down for that as well. That is the tweet we're after, chat. So try and get not use this for a hat rat. I can't even speak. I'm going crazy. Anyway, we've got round 3 here in Timeless Action for you all. Remember this community-based tournament for you at home to take part in if you're watching or just enjoying it, or you want to take part in future ones. There's going to be a lot more of them, so make sure you follow us on the socials. We are going to follow our undefeated player in the Creator Clash last week, Mr. Elliot Dragon. Huge French streamer, huge French player in general, travels the world for basically any tournament. I'm going to be seeing him in a couple of weeks at the Regional Championships in Europe, but more importantly, we're going to see him right now in Timeless. And he's brought a different deck from what he brought in Clash.
So cool.
When I say what does Titan lose to? Well, this deck. I have lost this deck a lot. It goes over the top without combat damage. It is, of course, Mono Black Devotion. Everybody used to play back in the 2000s and I want to say 15, 16 when all the Devotion decks for Pharos were kind of a thing. You're going to be up to date when I say the words Gary. You're going to know what that means. Of course, that is Grey Merchant of Asphodel, the powerful 5-drop, which we're seeing exiled right now. And all these cards are going to be in French, classic. And but
challenge accepted.
Where's all my French speakers? But yeah, we kind of we shopping down to Gary. Just Gary's turning up, the big powerful 5-drop, 3 into black, which drains your opponent for life equal to your devotion to black. So late game, we can kind of chain that off because we've got a lot of black mana symbols and one of them in hand right now. Talk me through Necro.
Yeah, Necropotence is maybe one of the most broken cards printed in all time, but back in the day when it was in standard, maybe it was a bit more balanced. Here, though, when you combine it with cards like Dark Ritual, you get to basically pay 1,000,000 life to draw 1,000,000 cards. This card is so good that it sees play in Vintage. And the strategy here is basically like to devote a lot of your life total resources to generate you convert that resource into another resource, which is in cards in your hand. And even though Necropotence does stop you, like you skip your draw step, you eventually you gain so much life through the card that you gain so many resources through the card that you're able to stabilize really quickly. And this deck has a brilliant number of ways to gain that life back. So you can see in the hand, there's a copy of March of Wretched Sorrow. We already talked about Gary. I think this is one of the cards that is definitely on my radar for being maybe the most broken, or in conjunction with like another card or two, the most broken in this format. So definitely want to be keeping track of like how this card performs. You can see now we're moving along in this deck. One of the best other black cards you can be playing, Demonic Tutor.
Oh, like there's a reason why that one's restricted, right? It's so crazy. I'm looking at this deck list and I'm loving it. It is very much playing a little like Coffers would in Modern, just with a slight twist. Obviously, some of the cards are not as powerful, but some of them are as powerful. Main deck, Leyline of the Void, 4 copies. That in itself is going to host so many decks here in Timeless. So many decks are lying on the graveyard for Dragon Rage Channelers, for Deathrite Shamans, for the combo decks. We see the Breach decks. We've got main deck answers, which we don't even have to pay mana for, which are also playing in our favor with 2 devotion on straps to those cards. We've got things like Ashiok. We've got two different Ashiok planeswalkers. One of them is going to stop the Titan decks from searching their deck, going to turn off natural orders and start milling our opponent, potentially some of their key cards. And then we've got the powerful end game one, which in itself can just run away with the game. Add to that, now we've got Khan the Great Curator in here. If we're making loads of mana with Nixos, might as well throw a Khan in there. Have access to super powerful artifacts in our graveyard. I'm seeing Platinum Angels in here, One Rings, Liquid Coatings, Cityscape Levelers, Citadels. Elliot is really good at Magic, dude.
Okay, but can we also give a shout out to what our opponent is playing here? I mean, Goblins is an archetype that I have lost to time and time through again. This is an archetype that just puts a violent amount of power and toughness into play while also having a great backup mid-range value strategy. What's interesting to me is why we just played turn 4 with 3 cards in hand and not making a move That's a little bit terrifying. And just as a high level here, goblins specifically, you've got cards like Goblin Matron, you've got cards like Krenko Mob Boss, Sling Gang Lieutenant, but the piece de resistance is Muxus, Goblin Grandee, which is 6 mana for a card that just puts so much power and toughness into play. And I feel like turn 4 here on this board state, not playing anything from the goblins side is a strong indicator that there is a hurricane to come and we are simply in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, look, basically everything in the deck besides Muxus we can high cast. It is that simple. So if my opponent's not doing that with 4-5 mana up, then that's telling me okay, they either have just lands in hand or multiple Muxuses, and multiple Muxuses are bad news because this card, as you said, generates so much value. Look at the top 6 of your deck, put all the goblins into play. Normally, one of them is going to have haste. Everything else haste, it is going to be pretty crazy. But we're seeing a matron come down here. Thank you very much. Look, getting the graphic up on the screen. Love to see it. So we get to basically go tutor a goblin into our hand. I was looking to see if there's a straight one-shot combo in this deck. It's not. There is a combo, as in we can sacrifice them all with Sling Gang. We can do like Snoop abilities of this stuff on top, but there's no one-shot win, which you kind of see in Modern. So we're only really one card away from that, and this basically being a Modern deck, which I do own and do love to play, by the way.
All right, so let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands in play. We do know about the Muxus that is in the hand, and so now, if I'm in Elliot's seat, I am basically trying to figure out how I will dodge Helen back again from this Muxus. So that's definitely something to think about here. Okay, so we're activating the Necropotence again, going down to 12 life. Drawing a couple cards here.
Well, devotion counts 7 currently, right? So if we go Gary here, we gain 9, drain 9. The next turn, potentially just this what's the X card there? Chain something? Chain Massacre?
Meat Hook Massacre. Yeah.
Meat Hook Massacre comes down for a large amount. Now, if we can survive this one attack from all the goblins coming down, potentially we can get back into the game. That's a nice sweeper that we have access to. I believe there's only 1 copy in deck. Yeah, 1 copy, but we've got it in hand. And we're digging. We're going down. And we're seeing the power of this Necro. Like, just 3 mana, refill my hand. Cool. Play Gary.
And I mean, this makes sense, right? This is a very reasonable strategy. Pay life, get ahead on cards, use my cards to gain life, to then pay life to get more ahead on cards, to then gain life again, to pay life again. You see the pattern here, and this is deadly vicious. It also helps a lot that one of our best ways to gain life happens to also kill the opponent. So yeah, there you can see Necropotence on the screen. This is basically one of the cards of all time. Absurdly powerful. Skips your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, okay, cool. Exile that card from your graveyard. But you get to pay life to exile a card face down. You add that card to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. And I think this also gets around a card like Orcish Bowmasters, which makes it even more powerful.
I just learned something. Noir in French means black. You're welcome, chat. Stay here all week.
Okay, okay.
I've got you.
Film noir. Okay, I get it now. I see.
I didn't know if it was like a good game or something, so I had to Google it to make sure see what it was. What that came up in the chat there. We're all learning. We're all learning together. Okay.
Love to hear
Lots
it.
of triggers. How many is this? 10? Lose 10 life. Draw 10 cards. We've got the march. That's key, right? As long as we can keep drawing black cards in the hand, the chance of us dying this turn is extremely low. There's a grey merchant. That means we can win next turn. So we just have to survive. A lot of land being drawn though. Double Gary. Oh yeah, okay, this game's over. I'll be surprised if Elliot can't win on the next step. But goblins, never count them out. If there's a chance that we can get enough goblins on the battlefield with haste, maybe Krenko, make a load more 1/1s, Sling Gang, Sacrifice, and there might be some
There's another card
one
too that I want to see. It's the Singleton Pashalik Muns. If we can get that and Sling Gang into play, that represents a lot of damage on the board. So I'm not going to count the Goblins player out here. Admittedly, I think in a combination with potentially what looks like a mulligan, casting Muxus for 6 mana, never really where you want to. Well, you want to accelerate into it as many ways as possible. I think what is it? Wily Goblin is another something that gets you to there, right? Yeah, ETB makes a treasure token. I'm trying to think. Do we have any infinite combos potentially with conspicuous Snoop as well? You said no, right? Oh, but Snoop could potentially flip a Sling Gang lieutenant, which is kind of cool.
Chat's trying to point out something to do with I've missed the Ashiok being on the battlefield and what interaction that has. So I'm currently reading through.
Oh, actually, okay. I
If
suppose
you,
I should do the same then.
if you would pay life while your library has at least that many cards in it, exile that many cards from the top of your library instead. So
Is
does
this
that
still
mean
broken?
Necros is free? We don't use life for it? That seems crazy.
No way. Hold up. I had no idea. Elliot?
Oh my word. Chat is so big brain catches up on that. Yeah, Necro's free. How about just that's so up your street, it's unreal. What if I could tell you could draw a bucket load of cards for completely no life and no mana? Can I sell that to you, Anu? Is that something you're interested in?
You don't have to. I've already bought it. This is insane.
Deck building 101 from one of the best players in the world, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you definitely should. Same on Twitch. Big streamer. Is currently streaming right now. Great. And also, if you get to meet him, great person. I've met him multiple times. Always a pleasure to talk to and hang out with. And now we're going to see some effects about every creature we sacrifice is another trigger for massacre. Yeah, this game's over. This is okay, this is a second deck we've got to build. I don't know if I've got enough wild cards, but I need the deck in my life.
But it's on the docket, baby. Dude,
it.
this is I don't know. So this is kind of what I want to like go at right now. Like this format, very new. Like I think it had its 1 month anniversary like 2 days ago. So that's how you know that there's so many things that are still left to discover and explore. And the fact that Elliot is doing so well with a new deck this week, as well as having gone 5-0 in the Swiss last week, just indicates that these decks are all capable of winning and they're very high powered to be able to draw a player as good as Elliot into the archetype. And you can see the results here, the performance. Like, I mean, I'm nice.
All right, well, we're going to see if we can kind of clutch from the grip of death right now as Muxus comes down. And it's got to be okay. It's not as good. One Goblin Matron when I'm tapped out, not great. Not what the doctor signed up before. I think we're going to be going to a game number 2 momentarily, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the Skirk Prospector there did its best to sort of maybe get another rebuy because the board state from the first Muxus simply wasn't enough. Again, like we identified a specific win condition, potentially Sling Gang Lieutenant, potentially Pachalik Mons in the mix as well, or like a conspicuous Snoop that flips the what is it, like Flip the Pig or something like that from Adventure Time? Is that the reference?
I have no idea.
None of that happened. We tried. We didn't quite get there. And Elliot is going to take the first game here with Mono Black Devotion. So let's kick it into sideboarding here. This being a very creature-heavy matchup, we definitely want all of the removal spells that we could possibly play. But there's a problem. You'll notice there are a lot of artifacts in the sideboard. You'll notice there are 4 copies of Karn the Great Creator in this in the main deck. So that means that we're really just trying to leverage our sideboard for Karn. We don't have very many options that'll come in here. What's interesting is to see if those 2 copies of Fatal Push will come in. How do you feel about bringing in the Wormcoil engine? Is that better off in the main or the side?
Good question. Well presented. And I feel like if I brought it in, that's the one time I'm going to play Karn. I'm going to need to go get it, and I'll set myself for it. So I think I'd play it safe, keep it in the sideboard, just bring in those fatal pushes, try and slow down the early game because we know we have got the mid to late game, right? Like I'm still trying to break down all the different things that happened. Like it just seems perfectly built, this deck. We've got the early game covered. We've got the refilling my hand covered. We've got the Ashiok refilling my hand covered. We've got I can use my cyber plan. The one ring noticeable. Elliot is bringing the One Ring in here out the sideboard, though, not leaving it as a two package. So maybe that's his, instead of bringing the Worm Coil in, that's where he wants to go. And still sideboarding, though, deciding. And we see this a lot from top players, by the way. They use the full clock. And Elliot is very well known for bringing in all 15 cards and then taking 15 cards out, even
Which
on an
is,
online strategy.
I was gonna say, that's something you normally see in paper only, but to do that in a sideboard game really demonstrates that Elliot at least understands the purpose of this exercise, which is you put 15 cards in, and then you just, out of your 75 cards, you remove the worst 15, and that could be something that you boarded in, that could be something else. You never know. So going into game 2 now, critical elements that we want to see from Elliot's side. Oh, there's a Karn, there's a ring, there's a Dark Ritual.
I was about to say, how's the turn 2 Karn on One Ring? Is that good for you?
Yeah, I am sold. I think the One Ring might be one of the coolest cards, and to pair it alongside something like Dark Ritual gets me especially excited, because then you get to draw all the cards.
I've got a question for you and chat. I'm very interested to know what everybody's thoughts is. What is the best avatar, or what avatar do you use on
Jace,
Magic Arena?
the Mind Sculptor,
You're a
better
Jace
than all.
gamer?
Oh
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm a
Hey,
Shield
hey,
Dread.
I
you
oh, okay, Shielder's pretty badass too.
I used to use I can never pronounce his name, like Flipper Flopper, whatever it's called. The little like gremlin creature with one big
Fibblethip?
eye. Yeah, I used to use that. And
Oh baby, I love me some good Fibblethip. I am totally lost without that card, and no, that's a bad joke. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to finish it.
I was like, where's he going with this? Where's he going with this? Well, how about a turn to I would say combo piece, because normally it's a combo piece in the modern deck, but in this it's kind of just like a nice to have. I can look a Snoop. I'm gonna go Snoop. It's Snoop. It's suspicious Snoop, isn't it?
Yeah, conspicuous. Yeah, no,
Conspicuous.
conspicuous
Conspicuous.
Snoop. Yes, yeah.
Words. That's our bread and butter. Casters,
Uh-huh.
words. Not our friends right now. But how does Elliot want to go about this powerful turn 2 play? He has options of multiple. It could be the One Ring, or it could be Khan, or maybe we're just going to save it. We could potentially power out a March for free if you want to go that route. But it looks like we are going to, maybe not going to start. He's toying with us.
Mm.
Absolutely toying. Yeah, we're starting with Dark Witcher. If you're not playing it early, why are you playing it at all?
Yeah, I think I would like to see Elliot lead off with the One Ring here. Elliot also does agree, and the reason is going back to what is our deck trying to do, right? Our deck is trying to pay life to get cards, use those cards to gain life, then to pay life to get cards, to gain life, to pay life, to get cards, to gain life, to pay life, to get cards. Oh my god, I got in the rhythm of it too, and I think that's what Elliot's trying to do here exactly as well.
Okay, well, we're starting off by drawing some cards. 2 more cards going in the hand. One of them, a great Con, great creator. We spoke about how that good that is. Probably would have loved to see a Dark Ritual here. I was like, Colin, well, surely we're not. Elliot, you gem, putting everything in English for us. Thank you very much.
Oh,
He's a game player. He's a game player. He's got us. He's got us. Okay, let's have a little look. So we're gonna get rid of one of these. Obviously, we don't want Krenko. That card's pretty powerful on the battlefield, especially when it comes into play with haste. How do we want to go about this? Elliot is in chat, just saying about that. We're going to get that sorted for you. And this is one of the powers of March here, right? Just for 1 mana, you can just exile another black card from your hand to add 2 to it. We're going to see this Snoop is what's going to bite the dust here. We're going to give it minus X being 2. We're going to gain 2 more life, meaning just a 2/2 haste on the battlefield. I'm interested to know Elliot's reasoning behind that. I feel like the haster probably might have been more scary here, but Snoop, potentially, obviously, if it hits more goblins off the top, we can just cast them from the top of a deck. So maybe he wants to cut down on the value engine from this goblins deck. One Ring and draws more cards. That is a lot of Necros going to hand. Potentially, we set up not this turn, but a turn after, maybe a big Nexus play. So next, if we put a Necro on the battlefield this turn, that's an extra 3 mana pips. The turn after, we played land. Maybe Ashiok refill. Interested. Definitely need a sweeper here. I'm gonna have a little look at the list. We all know. Okay, we need either a March or a Grey Merchant here. I'd say to probably kind of get back level in this matchup, because our life points are going to be dropping dramatically. the more turns we give this goblin deck, but we are living off the top of the deck on the other side. Imagine a Maxus off the top here. We've got the ability to cast it because we have the prosperous. No, it's not prosperous innkeeper. That's the green one.
The Skirk Prospector.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
prosperous
yeah.
prospector. See, that's where in sync. We're in tandem. We're in tandem when we mention cards here. We've got it. Here comes Khan Great Clear. This is and it's got another play in mind. What's he going to go find from the sideboard that could be good here? Maybe Worm Coil. Maybe this is the situation where you want to get a Worm Coil on the battlefield, kind of stabilize it a little bit. One Ring we know is already on the battlefield to come. Oh,
I like this. Okay, okay. Using the uptick ability here. Now this means okay, and I like the sequencing too. This means that even if the Karn does somehow die this turn, that treasure token is turned off, and that means that you can't use it for something like a Muxus, like in a post combat main phase or something like that, right? So a little bit of a heads up play there is sort of also hedging a bet, just saying, just in case. I mean, there's nothing good for the Karn to get, which I didn't quite catch the last few seconds of sideboarding to see whether or not the Worm Coil came in, but Worm Coil also being a little bit hard to cast on this board state just yet, because this now I'm sort of like noticing like maybe like if we had to really evaluate like what the focal point, the weak point, the point that the Rakdos Goblins player wants to take advantage of, it's going to be the fact that the mana takes a little bit of time to get set up here from the Devotion deck, right? Like, yes, you have a powerful card like Dark Ritual, but Dark Ritual generally will be, you'll use it for Necropotence, you'll use it for the One Ring, you may even use it for like a Karn, right? The more stabilizing elements, I feel like we will rely mostly on Nykthos to cast, and for Nykthos to be really just like generating the adequate amount of mana, you really have to have all those like devotion elements in play, and currently we don't really have very many of them.
Well, this is going to have to be some big draws off this One Ring here, because okay, that might help. Gary might be able to put enough, a block on the battlefield and gain us a little bit of life to give us another turn, because this ring, remember, in upkeep is going to do 4 damage to us, and there's 4 damage on the battlefield currently, so that is lethal. That's why I was kind of thinking, like last time we did the Karn play, and it didn't really work. Like all we did was just get a token off the battlefield. Not much happened. Oh my word, he's so big brain.
Oh my god, that was the most insane play that I've seen today. Oh, that is so sick. So sick. That solves so many problems. Gives you mana, gets rid of the ticking time bomb in the One Ring, lets you play the Necropotence. Now that gives you devotion. Do we have March of Wretched Sorrow in our hand?
No, we've got Grey Merchant this turn though, because obviously Citadel adds the 2 mana we need for Nykthos, which means we got the 5th mana, which means we can play Gary. This is a absolute masterclass, ladies and gentlemen. You're witnessing right now. The lines that Elliot is taking, that is absolutely the opposite of everything we say, because our brains are not big enough. Plays this, gets himself a couple of blockers on the battlefield. Do they grow? do these grow for every card that we draw?
Wait a minute. All right, you have a reader, and that is me. Let's figure out. Okay, all right. Production is going to put the card on the screen here momentarily for us, so we can all learn together. This is the beginning of combat on your turn. If a card was put in as a +1, okay, so they do grow in size. You can see there. So the -2 is create 2 1/1 Black Nightmare creature tokens with at the beginning of combat on your turn. If a card was put into exile, put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. That means that these will turn into 2/2s. Wait, does this?
Yeah, but
it's only one. Okay, cool. So they're only going to become 2/2s. They're not going to grow into some like wildly absurd, like crackling Drake Tarmogoyf fusion, but that is still powerful. And you may be asking right now too, I see in the chat, why is Elliot not losing life? What is going on here? Well, Elliot has found a beautiful combination of cards in Necropotence and Ashiok, the Wicked Manipulator. So Necropotence says you exile a card, so you pay a life to exile the card, and Ashiok says rather than pay life, you can exile more cards as an alternate cost, sort of. I'm going to put a giant asterisk in there, like rulings and things aside. So now we get to just use this Necropotence for free for like the rest of the game, and you get to sculpt the perfect hand here. I mean, maybe dabble with like Thassa's Oracle if you're truly cooking in the kitchen here. But I think with like Grey Merchant of Asphodel, you've got so much going on now that I dare I say it, Elliot has found a way to stabilize, turn the corner, and soon win the game.
I think he can win as early as next turn with just multiple grey merchants coming down with multiple Nicholas's. This is like my jaw is wide open of what we're witnessing. You would just see a couple of dark rituals, a couple of grey merchants. We might be casting 3 grey merchants next turn. Do you do how like what's happening? What am I witnessing? I don't know what's going on. This is just crazy and piloted at such a high level. This
The
is
way you say
crazy.
that, I just kind of imagine like we're in like the year is like 2999. It's like Mad Max universe, and Elias just got Chrome, and he's just like, witness me, just like all these cool plays, turn after turn after turn, the creativity, the ingenuity. I mean, like this is great, and this is why this format is maybe my it is a front runner for being one of my favorite Eternal formats, which is crazy because it's only a month old.
Yeah, and that's just the beauty of it, right? We still haven't solved this game, this meta. We don't know this format. We just know it's super powerful. And if you told me that the Ashiok Wicked Manipulator was going to be a really good card in a deck, I bet what are you talking about? Surely there's a better 5-drop Planeswalker in a
Mm-hmm.
mono black deck. Well, what do I know? As just land off the top is not it. We're definitely hoping for something like a Maxus off the top to be able to kind of steal this game. But if we pass the turn back to Elliot here, I feel like it's got to be. Yeah, look, when players move fast, you know that you're in for a bad time. And we're going to double ritual. That's 5 mana floating into a meat hook massacre
Oh.
for 1. So that's going to leave our creatures on the battlefield as 1/1s. It's going to kill the 2 on the other side, which we might just sack for floating damage. So the triggers for meat hook massacre doesn't happen. That's fine. But this more importantly adds 2 devotion to the battlefield for this Nykthos. The Nykthos is now going to generate 8 mana, which means the first Gary comes down, which now the second Nykthos is going to generate 10 mana, which means these double Garys in hand is going to just be GG's only need 1. My word, Elliot, just stop. Just stop. This is
That was so freaking cool. I gotta say, that I'm pleasantly happy with the everything about that deck was just like incredible. You know what I mean? Like I loved the options, the flexibility, and I have to say that there are a lot of ways to look at it, but maybe what was really important to take away from me from this match is like literally the power of one specific card, and that is Dark Ritual, right? I mean, Dark Ritual being able to sort of push the game forward, not by 1, not by 2, but 3 turns into the future in advance, means that you really get to leverage the power of your higher costed cards. I'm gonna stir the pot here a little bit, right? I think I saw a tweet earlier this week from one very famous Saffron Olive who said, I think Dark Ritual may also need to join the restricted card list. So, chat, this is your opportunity now to tell me, educate me, a guy who is just getting into the format, if Dark Ritual is really that strong, you think, or it's balanced, it's fine. There are ways to mitigate the impact of that. Will, what's your opinion on the matter?
I'm seeing if I can make a poll for chat.
Oh, okay, okay. I bless. Okay, cool. All
Let's see
right.
if we can make a poll. Let's
In
hold
the
it.
meantime, I'm going to ask production. I'm going to figure out, do we have another match to watch? I was actually also trying to check the number of rounds we have left. Okay. Okay. So what does that mean? What do you, so I'm talking to production right. All right, we're showing the whole match here. We have our bounty now. The gang leader himself, the Crooked Clark, steps into the arena today to battle. And if you watched Niall play last week, Niall played Mono Green Titan, and Mason has worked hand in hand with her to sort of develop this deck and iterate it to the next chapter. So production is telling me we've got a banger of a backup match coming to you soon. While that gets set up, Will, did you get the poll in?
I'm sorry. I turned like some protection thing on in chat.
Oh no, chat!
I've,
I hope I didn't lose you all. Um,
okay, I've got it, hun. Restrict dark ritual or not? Right, I'm doing it. I'm
okay.
doing it.
Bless your heart. All right, so we got an
Yes.
ad going on right now. I'm very
No.
curious.
My problem is that I don't have enough wildcards for these tournaments that we put on, because every time I'm seeing a deck, I'm like, I need to make this deck. I need to make this deck. I need to work out a way of how I can get more wildcards in my. Well, I suppose that's kind of everybody watching this as well. Is like, how do I get more wildcards? How do I get more wildcards? Well, randomly, just sat on my desk, I have a pile of codes that
Cool.
maybe we can maybe we'll start doing some Twitter giveaways soon. Maybe we'll
I'm
throw
gonna
out in
DM you
Discord, I
my
don't know.
address real quick. I'll be right back.
Well, yeah, you can only use one per account and per set.
Okay.
But you know, we got some codes. Maybe we got some wildcards floating around.
Feature
we're
match
gonna-
is ready. Let's get
do
to it. I'm excited.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Jordan never fails to deliver, and I'm stoked to see that we have two Titans. Well, okay, that was not a pun intended.
Unintended.
Yeah, two players like just battling against each other here. We'll see if we can get the overlay updated real quick. That's going to be taken care of in just a moment. So thank you for your patience there. And there it is. Turn 1, Kami of Bamboo Groves. Every time I see this card, I'm just like, damn, does this card not look cool?
It's super powerful, but we didn't see this matchup last week. Like, I feel like it was only Niall. She's the only one that bought mono green last week, so we didn't really have a one player in a 16-player tournament, a mass showing where we're seeing multiple players turn up with it this week and do extremely well with it. So next turn we can natural order. It's gonna be pretty cool. This is, but again, on the play. Look, 1 land versus 4 doesn't even seem fair.
Yeah, so we know that Nathan is playing Dimir Control, and this is going to be a variation of the list that we saw Mistman take down the event with the Creator Clash with last week. Nathan worked alongside Arnie Hushenbeth to put together a little bit more of a tuned list, maybe to their preferred play styles. I know Arnie had Snapcaster Mages, for example, so I believe Nathan also has those elements in the deck here. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because 2 mana from Nathan Stoyer means one thing and one thing only on the radar here for Mason Clark. He's worried about natural order. He says, I don't care. You're the greatest in the world. All right, well, I'm going to make you have it. He doesn't. And this is why I made Mason my bounty, because I know that a former world champion doesn't stand a chance. Simply said, okay? Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Mason, for keeping my wallet safe. I'll just put that out there right now.
Hasn't won yet, my friend. Come on. Like, if I've learned one thing in Magic is you cannot count out the Prince of Magic. He has won everything and done it in a year. It takes some people in lifetimes cannot win what Nathan has won in the space of 12 months. And he's only getting better and better every single time we see him. But I will agree with you, it is definitely going to be an uphill battle for him right now. I'm trying to get his deck list up so I can see what spice he's actually brought this weekend.
All I remember from Nathan's side is that there was a singleton copy of Go Blank, which was fascinating. That this deck, which is very like draw go kind of deal, would err on that side. Wait, sorry, did I just miss something? What happened to the game?
The right click concede happened.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Up top, Mason. I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're ever going to see this, but I owe you a high five and a hug. Thank you. And that's how it's done. All right, so let's talk about sideboarding here really quickly. Once again, Karn, the Great Creator, being an interesting addition for this archetype. It does make sense to me. What do you think about it?
I like it. It's, as I say, like, we kind of had the mono green build. Now we've seen a couple of people moving across to Khan, having that extra late game, maybe potentially trying to fight their way through things like Blood Moon or these more controlling decks. As you can see here, a couple of the artifacts coming in. We also got Fawn of Amethyst. We're a deck that has a lot of mana, playing against potentially decks that don't have a lot of mana, so restricting them to what their spells can be. Where we're able to play the extra one nice and easy here. I like this from Mason. Okay, it's great deck builder, very good mind when it comes to the game and breaking it down. And the fact that he's chose to also go this route and is currently, are we into game 3 or game 2 here, Director?
It looks like we're going. It looks like we're going into game 2. Yeah.
Game 2. Yeah. So yeah. I was getting thrown off by that. Then I'm trying my best to try and find Nathan's deck, and I cannot find it. I'm trying my best on Nathan. Where's Mr. Story? There he is. Okay, right. I've got it. Panic over chat. I've now got access to his deck list, and I'm looking at his sideboard because realistically he's a game down. He needs to fight his way back. he's a master, and it's not the first time he's ever going to have to fight himself from a game back. And he's got access to 3 copies of Aether Gust. Now that seems really good to me. Does have a spreading seas. I'm not entirely sure how good that would be in this matchup or not, but time will tell. We've got a Legion's End, nice way of cleaning up an army of 2/2 zombies on the other side. Anything else I like? I do kind of like the Fort Seasons as well. They just tend to always be pretty good against these Titan strategies
I'm a
that we
fan.
see.
What I really want to see here is so there's a couple of interesting elements, right? So the first thing that I want to double check for, just to make sure, is whether or not Mason is on the card Cavern of Souls, and he's playing 3 copies in the main deck. Okay, cool. So I'm going to recap what happened last week in the feature match, which was this matchup, just at the hands of different players, and that was the card Commit to Memory being hard cast for 4 mana to put Primeval Titan second from the top. Then Aether Gust being cast to put the Primeval Titan back on top of the deck. And then Mystic Sanctuary, Archmage's Charm into putting the Primeval Titan back on top of the library. So sort of get the pattern here, right? And eventually, the blue-black control deck was able to put Orcish Bowmasters in play, attack, attack, attack. Archmage Charm my opponent to deal them damage from the Orcish Bowmaster, plural, because there were multiple copies in play, and that's the win condition, right? So let's see if Nathan can replicate that for this game. It is going to require extending the duration of the game by a lot. One critical aspect of this post program, I'm talking a lot, Will, I know, I'll give you a chance too,
Keep going.
The delta between being on the plate and the draw here is that on the draw, Nathan gets access to turn 3 mana much sooner, which is the critical turn in this matchup, which means that you get to access Archmage's Charm in addition to Counterspell to stop a potential unprotected, a counterable Primeval Titan. I'll put it that way.
So I'm going. What's happening here? So Mason is understand that it's probably a counter spell on the other side of the battlefield. So instead of casting Natural Order, which you could have done that turn, decided to go with just Spelunking, which Spelunking itself can help us, ramp if we had the lands, but I don't believe we had the lands. So that's giving some information away to Nathan. But here we're seeing the other part of Cammy, channel abilities. You can discard it and add 2 forests to your hand. Now, this is a great way for us to be able to advance our board, because against these control decks, that's what we want to be doing. We just want to play our land drops every turn, get Field of the Dead online, so every single turn, at least our land drops are generating threats, us casting spells are generating threats. But on the other side, because we're not doing anything, Nathan's just able to go draw 2, go, draw 2, go. And he's also kind of happy about this because he has got access 2 powerful lands, which one of them I know you're super happy is in this format, Mystic Sanctuary. I actually have like 4 copies of this in foil. I probably should give you them at some point because I've had them for a long time. I'm never using that card ever again. But we're playing into Nathan's game plan here a little bit, but also into Mason's. That will be interested to see who comes out on top. How does Nathan want to go about this? He doesn't really care about a couple of 0-1s and a 1-1 on the other side of the battlefield. That's fine. The game's not over, for another 15 turns at this point, how this works out. But play draw dependent, as you said, is super key. And we're literally seeing it pan out now. Tutor, okay. Remember, sorcery speed to help me done an instant. One of the few cards in the deck that isn't instant speed, which means there's a powerful 2-drop that he wants to go and find. Let's have a little look at the list and what options he could get. He could find himself Counterspell if he wants to go that route. Also has a land drop this turn. I'll probably point that out. Has Drown in the Locks. Interesting to see how many cards are going to be in the graveyard for that. There's the 3rd land for the turn. That's the Watery Grave. So 3 drops. We could find what else we've got in here. Could be a Dig, could be a Go Blank, could be a Soren's Ransom. Now that's a cool one we haven't seen cast just yet, and we saw how much value that one, or how much value he put on it. Here's Khan's Silax in the hand for Mason. Interesting. I believe it's probably in there for the bit that says players can't pay life part of the card, not the wrath side of it. That's interesting. I'd love to hear Mason's thought on that one. That's just a real good hedge up play, in my opinion. But you're going to get that, especially when you get 2 huge players going against each other. Big, maybe punt there from Nathan, not fetching in response, which means he can't pay the 1 life there to get that 3rd land drop. and
Okay, okay.
we can see oh,
Ooh, I love it.
oh,
I
Mason,
love it.
Mason
That's
against
why dude, I mean, how many people
oh,
do you know that could cause the world champion to slip up on his feet? I mean, it may be like in a brief moment of weakness, or it'll be funny as if Nathan's just like, I don't even care. I'm playing on handicap mode because I can beat you without it. As the Orcish Bowmasters are going to be coming in, but I mean, the way it is right now, Mason is doing a great job. Love to see it. Love to see it.
I'd be picking my battles. Even if I was like, cool, I've got one up on Nathan's story. I'm not sure I'll be throwing emotes in his face as well, just to really rub salt in the wound. Trying to fight that,
Uh,
that mind game. But look at these for 4 cards. No lands among them, just 4 powerful ones. Orcish Bowmaster. We've got the Lorien's Revealed, Archmage's Charm, and the Spreading Seas. Which
mhm.
one does Mason like? Spreading Seas is gonna be real good here on that Field of the Dead,
Yeah,
and
and
gets rewarded.
absolutely. Yeah. Also, taking another Orcish Bowmasters is critical because that is how you're going to close the game out at some point. What I really do think Nathan needs right now, it just needs to continue making land drops so we can cast multiple spells in a turn. And then you can see Mystic Sanctuary coming into play here. That's going to tap for mana pretty nicely. Are we going to put another card on top of our deck? Because we're starting to get into that rhythm where we're just like, all right, well, I'm going to counter your spell. I'm going to make it a land drop. I'm going to counter your next spell. I'm going to make a land drop. Now I'm going to counter your spell and draw 2 cards. And the more we continue to do this, this is why land drops are so fundamental in any control matchup. It's the concept of like doing multiple actions, right? Okay, all right. Sit down,
Well,
children. It's time for class. It's time for class. All right. This is why this is what's up.
there's a Cavern of Souls.
Fair.
That
Oh,
in the hand, and Nathan knows
oh,
about it. So maybe this is why Nathan's happy to start tapping out now, because he's like, well, my counter spells they're not doing much, so I have to advance the battlefield and start actually playing. And maybe it's with just advancing the temptation counters. We see it's already up to 1 on the token, but Nathan's definitely in the tank here. What he wants to be grabbing.
all right. Let's see. Well, I mean, sure, Nathan's got a couple decisions to make here. In the graveyard, we've already seen at least a copy of Sauron's Ransom. And honestly, picking the Sauron's Ransom here could be a part of an ingenious endgame where we actually use the ring mechanic.
Oh, Titan off
Oh,
the top. Titan off
gross.
the top.
Gross.
That's huge for Mason here. Can just name Giant of this Cavern of Souls, generate the mana he needs, pay the extra 1 with the caverns to make it uncounterable. Is missing the red mana though to be able to give it haste. But with Spelunking on the battlefield, he can generate. No, you don't need. No, he tapped it. Or a tapper should have tapped that forest. If it tapped the forest, he could have gave this Titan haste by fetching up the red mana required. He gets the nice from Nathan. This isn't going to get haste this turn, but it is going to be able to generate a lot of 2/2 zombies. And it's going to come into play untapped, which means this natural order could also be used, especially if something, if Nathan casts, say, the Orcish Bowmaster in his hand here and taps out.
Yeah, I mean, I know Nathan, and Nathan's not gonna. He's gonna put up a fight here. Definitely has at least a copy of counterspell or some ability to counter spells in the hand here, I imagine. So the natural order, I don't think is really gonna connect. But the problem is, Primeval Titan is now on the board, and I gotta wonder how is Nathan going to get out of this situation.
Uh, he doesn't. That's simple. He doesn't. He scoops it up to none other than Mason Clark. That's got to be happening. Not only beating Nathan Story, but also doing it in fashion and kind of a little bit of a, rubbing dirt in it. Like, hey, I got you. I got you. You did pay life. Always use
Nice
your cards.
fetch land, bro. No, but
Mason's not going to drop that for a while. He's gonna let Nathan know. I can see memes already being made and posted on Twitter from Mason. But congratulations taking that one down 2-0.
absolutely. All right, I'm stoked about that. Looks like we are going to be cutting to a break now. I mean, we're going to be cutting from our break back to your regularly scheduled Wordle. So we're going to see y'all in just a little bit. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, answers about what happened with the Dark Ritual poll, I'm going to have to go back and see what the result is on that.
Hold on a minute. It is
Broken, yeah.
4%. 4% yes, it should get restricted. 96% no.
Wow.
We we want broken cards. There you go. Have you pay out. Good crazy chat.
Yeah, okay, all right. I thought we did a great demonstration of why Dark Ritual should go into the trash can, but looks like we all want to be there with it, you know. So we'll do that later. Anyways, Wordle time. Catch y'all later. Bye.
Wordle.